Well, that's not good. Choosing to capture images on film is not an effort to prove that you're better than everyone else. I mean, you might be, but you don't have to tell everyone that. The real reason most of us do it is for the texture, the captivating colors and distinct atmosphere that translates into something you can feel, not only see. Mostly though, we shoot film to challenge ourselves. The pain feels good for some reason. And what's more challenging than to capture a severe geometric solar storm as it annihilates across our night sky? I've already made attempts at capturing comets, star trails, solar eclipses, and blue supermoons on this channel, so what's one more cosmic event in the books? If I had planned properly, I might have taken the time to travel more north, like literally just a few hours more north would have made a major difference. But here we are, heading out alone in the middle of the night, to somewhere with low light pollution and no clouds. Joshua Tree or the low desert might have been the move here, but the farther south I head, the less likely the maps are projecting visibility of tonight's event. This Canon rangefinder wouldn't necessarily be my go-to choice for an event like this, especially with this lens, but it's light, reliable, and best of all, already loaded with some Portra 800. But don't worry, I also brought my newly acquired Pentax so I can take some pretty average pictures in 120 as well. I had originally planned to only drive about half an hour out of town, but the cloud coverage was relentless, so on my way out to the high desert, I may have gotten a little sidetracked at times. I was really starting to lose hope that I would never get out of the clouds, but eventually they went away. Now that I'm out of the clouds, I'm like, do we even see anything? Like, I had a place picked out, and it was just covered in clouds, so I just had to keep going and going and going, and now I'm at a point of no return. Just really hoping that's not some No Country for Old Men type shit going on up there. Not really seeing much yet, so maybe we'll just do like 20 minutes of star trails, just for fun. Alright, so I moved locations just because we're getting too covered up by the light pollution of the freeway. And I saw a few posts on Twitter, so it does look like people are getting it close to here, but you have to let your phone do like a 10-second exposure or something like that. And it's hard to see with your eye. You can kind of see it a little bit when you look north. So I'm like a mile off the freeway. The road ended and turned to dirt. It went for a little bit, but I don't know if this is like private land or someone's front yard, so I'm gonna stop here, but I got the camera set up. Again. Yeah, so I didn't really nail this first initial shot on 35. I'm stoked to see literally anything on the negative, but it's kind of funny how much easier an event like this is to produce on a digital camera or even your phone. I'm getting shots on my phone, which is really counterproductive. It's almost like what I was doing was borderline impossible. I burned my tongue yesterday, so I feel like I'm tripping on my words. Nice little crest of the hill right here. A lot of stars, and there is like a weird haze. So I don't know how long we do this exposure. I had come across a film chart system before heading out that night, written back in the early 2000s by a photographer named Dick Hutchinson, someone that had frequented and lived in the Arctic Circle for decades, studying the lights specifically on film and how to shoot them, which was fascinating to read and dissect for someone that lives way down here in California. So just to emphasize, this is not a chart for someone this far south. It's definitely for someone a lot closer to the Northern Lights in reality, but since something like this doesn't really happen very often, especially this far south, I'll take any information I can get and just bracket and hope for the best. You know, I was fully prepared to waste an entire roll of film for at least one killer shot. Another dirt road, but I don't know if you can really tell, but I can see it with my eyes now. It's actually really crazy. This one is a bit better. The streaks of iridescent light are actually totally visible, but they're pretty faint due to the low exposure of light coming through the lens because of where we are in the country. You know, I would not recommend doing a trip like this alone, because it's literally just the desert in pitch black and... Oop. I hear a car. Yeah, we gotta get out of here soon. It really did feel like I was chasing a ghost, considering at the time I had no idea if any of these images were coming out at all. Also, the lack of foreground was something I was beginning to notice with a lot of these images, even in total darkness. I really only had the option of what was away from the road and away from the light, but you could say I moved locations a bit. Every one of these roads that I go down, I'm just praying that it's not someone's like home. This isn't even like a marked road. It looks like it's just a trail for like ATVs or something. I just gotta find where I put my tripod. So I'm kind of ready to get out of here a little bit, but first, it's finally time we do some Pentax. Going through these shots after the fact really made me realize how difficult this kind of photography can be. But then I took this one. The addition of my car in the foreground giving some scale to the image, the ripples of pinks and blues dominating the horizon. I also took this other perspective, but I think the 20-minute exposure really nails this idea. And I almost didn't get it because my battery died in the Pentax. So I threw on the lens cap and switched out the batteries and hoped for the best. And luckily the shot still came out. Sure, it doesn't exactly scream northern lights when you glance at it, like the traditional greens that we're used to. The stars are trailing in a circular pattern because, like I said, the exposure was over 20 minutes. But if you really pay attention to the hue of colors dancing around the sky, it's there. A little grainier than I'd like, but that's to be expected with a long exposure like this. In the end, being a photography enthusiast isn't always about getting the image. I mean, look, I literally almost captured nothing, but it's about experiencing life and how beautiful it can be when we slow down and admit how connected we truly are. In a world that is full of so much hardship and unnecessary pain, we could use a little more of that. More compassion, humanity, and dignity towards one another. Images tell the stories we tend to forget, even the bad ones. We're back, baby.